He only had 2 surgeries. The rest was lies. That's what Michael Jackson said. But no one listened. For decades, the world was obsessed with his face. Not his talent, not his message, but his nose, his skin, and every little change the cameras could capture. Headlines called him a monster. Talk shows made fun of him. And the truth? It got buried under years of mockery and misinformation. But what if everything you thought you knew about Michael's appearance was completely wrong? In this video, we're not going off rumors. We're using his own interviews, official reports, and medical facts to uncover the truth about Michael Jackson's plastic surgery. The lies, the disease, the pain, and the man behind it all. Let's set the record straight. For years, rumors about Michael Jackson's face flooded the media. Wild headlines, exaggerated photos, and non-stop speculation. Everyone had something to say, but the one person the world rarely listened to was Michael himself. That changed in 2003. In the controversial documentary Living with Michael Jackson, British journalist Martin Bashir sat down with MJ and asked him the question millions had been wondering for years. How many plastic surgeries have you had? Michael didn't flinch. He calmly replied, I have had no plastic surgery on my face, just my nose. Then he added, with complete clarity, nothing's been done to my eyes, cheekbones, chin, lips, nothing. He was firm, but you could hear the exhaustion in his voice, like a man tired of having to defend his own face. Michael had previously written something similar in his 1988 autobiography Moonwalk, saying, I've had 2 operations on my nose to help me breathe better so I can hit higher notes. But this was the first time he said it on camera, for the whole world to hear. Still, many didn't believe him. Instead of taking his words seriously, the media twisted them into more jokes and headlines, as if his truth didn't matter at all. Michael wasn't just battling false stories. He was fighting to be seen as human. But even before this, back in 1993, Michael had already tried to tell the world what was really going on, in an interview that reached over 90 million people. Before Martin Bashir, before the media frenzy peaked, there was one moment where Michael Jackson finally broke his silence, live, unfiltered, and in front of nearly 100 million people. It was 1993, and Oprah Winfrey sat down with him at Neverland for an interview that shocked the world. And not because of gossip, but because of how human Michael really was. When Oprah brought up the plastic surgery rumors, Michael didn't go into detail about procedures. He focused on how deeply it hurt him to be constantly judged. I haven't had my eyes done. I haven't had my cheekbones done. I haven't had my lips done, he said. They just go too far. But what hit the hardest wasn't just his words. It was the pain behind them. You could see it. For a man who had given the world everything, he still had to defend his own face. And then came the moment everyone remembers. Oprah asked about his changing skin tone, the one thing that sparked years of cruel jokes and vicious headlines. Michael looked her in the eye and told the world the truth. I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. It's something I cannot help. He was talking about vitiligo, a real autoimmune disease, not bleach, not surgery, not some crazy conspiracy. He said he used makeup to even out the blotches so he wouldn't look like a leopard. It wasn't vanity, it was survival. This was Michael Jackson's truth. No spin, no PR filter, just raw honesty. And yet, even after this, many still didn't believe him. But science doesn't lie, and years later, the truth would be confirmed in black and white, during the one examination no one could ignore. For decades, people mocked Michael Jackson's changing skin, assuming it was some desperate attempt to look white. But behind the camera flashes and rumors was a medical truth most ignored, one that was confirmed by doctors and eventually by the coroner. Michael Jackson had vitiligo, an autoimmune disease that causes the skin to lose its pigment in uneven patches. His dermatologist, Dr. Arnold Klein, publicly confirmed it multiple times. He explained that Michael's skin was blotchy and sensitive to sunlight. That's why he often wore makeup, not to become someone else, but to create a uniform tone where the pigmentation had disappeared. But that wasn't all. Michael also suffered from discoid lupus erythematosus, another autoimmune condition that caused inflammation, rashes, and sensitivity to light, especially on the face. Lupus can also affect hair growth, which explained the wigs, hats, and head coverings he often wore. These weren't just cosmetic choices, they were medical necessities. And if anyone still doubted it, the final proof came after his death. The 2009 official autopsy confirmed 2 key things. 1. Widespread vitiligo across his chest, face, and arms, undeniable physical evidence. 2. depigmented patches of skin with dark makeup residue used to even out his appearance. So no, it wasn't bleach, it wasn't surgery, and it definitely wasn't vanity. Michael Jackson was battling 2 autoimmune diseases while living under the world's harshest spotlight, and no one gave him the benefit of the doubt. But instead of compassion, the media chose to profit off his pain, twisting his medical reality into a circus act for headlines and ratings. The more Michael Jackson's appearance changed, the more the media cashed in. Tabloid headlines weren't asking if he was okay. They were screaming Michael's face falling apart or plastic surgery gone wrong. Every minor change in his look was treated like a scandal. If he wore a mask, he's hiding something. If he wore makeup, he's trying to be white. If he avoided interviews, he's ashamed of himself. The truth didn't matter. What sold was spectacle. Even major talk shows joined in. Late-night comedians made entire routines mocking his face. Magazine covers zoomed in on his nose, his skin, his jawline, anything they could use to suggest he was turning into a monster. And here's the worst part. Every time they humiliated him, the numbers went up. More views, more copies sold, more money. Michael's pain became a profitable brand for the media industry. He once said in frustration, "They print just to sell, just to shock, just to be cruel. It's not fair." And he was right. Despite his interviews, his medical records, and even his autopsy confirming the truth, none of it could compete with the fantasy they built around him. They didn't just mock his face, they erased his humanity. And as the pressure built, Michael's inner circle changed too, with people who didn't always have his best interest at heart. As the world criticized Michael from the outside, something even more dangerous was happening on the inside. By the late 90s and early 2000s, many of the people closest to Michael weren't lifelong friends or honest advisors. They were employees, hangers-on, and yes men. People who rarely challenged him, even when they should have. This was the period when rumors about more surgeries began to grow. Not because Michael confirmed them, but because his appearance subtly shifted over time. And while he never admitted to more than nose surgery, some insiders believed he may have undergone additional procedures under pressure, not from vanity, but from isolation and bad influence. His former makeup artist Karen Fay once said, "Michael was extremely insecure. If a doctor said, 'You need this,' he trusted them." And that's the tragedy. Michael trusted too many people who saw him more as a paycheck than a person. Unlike other celebrities with a tight inner circle to protect them, Michael was surrounded by people who often told him what he wanted to hear, not what he needed to. He once admitted, "If I had a problem, I would go to a professional, a doctor. That's what anyone would do." But not all professionals have integrity. And when you're worth hundreds of millions, there are always doctors willing to say yes, even when the answer should be no. This doesn't mean Michael was addicted to surgery. It means he was a vulnerable man with real insecurities, manipulated by people who were supposed to care. And despite all the noise, the world would finally get one clear, undeniable answer. Not from gossip, but from the medical examiner's official report. For years, the media speculated, the fans defended, the tabloids mocked. But when Michael Jackson passed away in 2009, the rumors finally met reality, in the form of an official autopsy. This was no gossip column, no anonymous source. This was the LA County Coroner's report, and its findings silenced every lie that had been thrown at him for decades. First, the biggest confirmation, Michael Jackson did have vitiligo. The autopsy found patches of light and dark pigmented areas on his chest, face, and arms. This was physical, medical proof that his skin condition was real, the same condition he had publicly spoken about back in 1993, and the media had laughed off. Second, the plastic surgery claims. Yes, the report noted some scarring on his nose and behind his ears, consistent with rhinoplasty and minor surgical procedures. But there was no evidence of the extreme, multiple facial surgeries the media claimed for years. There were no fake cheek implants, no restructured jaw, no bizarre reconstructions, just the same nose he admitted to fixing decades earlier, and some work likely related to his lupus and scalp injuries. Third, the physical state of his body. The autopsy described Michael as underweight, but otherwise in good health for his age. No signs of physical collapse or deformity like the media had so often suggested. His heart, lungs, and organs, all functioning. He wasn't falling apart. He was managing diseases, yes, but not broken, not destroyed. The truth was simple. Michael Jackson's appearance changed because of disease, makeup, and yes, some surgery. But it was nothing close to the freak show narrative pushed for profit. This was the cold, hard truth. signed by medical professionals, confirmed by science, and ignored by those who had already made money off the lies. But Michael wasn't just a victim of disease or deception. His story was also one of resilience, and even after everything, he never stopped trying to show the world who he really was. They called him Wacko Jacko. They said he was trying to be white. They mocked his face, his skin, his voice, until they forgot the man behind it all. But the truth? Michael Jackson wasn't trying to escape who he was. He was trying to survive it. He suffered from vitiligo and lupus, two autoimmune diseases that attacked his body and changed the way he looked. He was judged for using makeup to cope. He was ridiculed for hiding his pain behind sunglasses and masks. But what choice did he have? The media didn't see an artist. They saw a target. And slowly, the world forgot that Michael Jackson was a human being, a man who grew up in front of cameras, stripped of privacy, surrounded by people who profited off his image while he quietly battled illness and insecurity. In one interview, Michael once said, "I'm not a Jacko. I'm Jackson. I have a heart and I have a feeling." But by the time people were ready to listen, he was gone. The media made a spectacle out of his body, but they never broke his spirit. His music still heals, his message still inspires, and his truth, no matter how long it was buried, is finally being heard. So now it's our turn to ask, do we remember the headlines, or do we remember him? Michael Jackson didn't owe the world an explanation, but he gave one anyway, again and again. And still, they chose lies over truth. Now you know what really happened. The diseases, the pressure, the media circus, the man behind the myth. So let this be a reminder. Behind every rumor is a human being. Behind every headline, a story untold. If this video made you see Michael differently, not as a headline, but as a human, then share this. Let the truth spread louder than the lies ever did. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.